Hello, Chester here. So it's been a while since I played Esper Tempo. I think the last time I had a video on this was the during the metagame challenge for Timeless. So I'll run through some changes I've made since then. So these are the involved cards there. Discard spells I removed for spell pierce and spell snares. Drown in the lock I removed because this is kind of slow for what it does, and it hard gets hard countered by other frogs. Since Psychic Frog is pretty popular right now, it's not great to run this card. I removed the basic swamp and then I added an Otawara, making the total land count 21. That's 17 untapped lands and 4 tapped ones. I also removed the demonic shooter. I replaced Lavinia with meddling mage, and there are less sweepers overall. I'll explain that in a bit once I show the other version. So here's the newer version of the deck. As I mentioned, I replaced Thoughtseize and Inquisition for Spell Pierce and Spell Snare. This makes it easier on our mana base since you don't have to fetch for double black that often. You could just cast these with a hollowed fountain or a basic island. And this actually keeps you up on tempo rather than being negative on tempo. So Pierce is now essential for tempo decks because there are a lot of new combo decks, including a lot of Belcher variant. There's also the Necropotence decks, the Sorin deck. Sometimes it's all three of them in one deck, Belcher, Necro, and Sorin. There's also Show and Tell, and then there's also Reanimate decks. And some of the tempo decks actually ditched lures for Oculus and Unearth package. Overall, this card is fine against other fair strategies since in the mirror you can just counter mana drains, you can sometimes counter removal spells. Snare is also important, but less so in those combo matchups. Essentially, this is good against all decks or has targets for all decks. All decks basically run a lot of critical spells at the 2 mana value slot. I'd run Esper over traditional blue black if the metagame share is wide open, meaning you don't really know what to expect in the ladder. So nowadays, a lot of people are bringing jank. A lot of people are playing combo decks that pretty fragile but unexpected. There's also a lot playing with the elementals. There's also a lot of people playing with reanimate and unearth. So Swords to Plowshares really does help with those. All right, let's talk about the sideboard. So we removed the demonic shooter in the sideboard since a lot of these combo decks you can shooter for silver bullets, but you don't really have time to look for them. You just need to have your spell pierce ready by turn 2, turn 3, or counter spell by that turn in order to survive against those decks. Otherwise, if you tap out for demonic shooter, you probably just lose. I also added invasive surgery here for show and tell since they are running a lot of discard spells right now. It does help to have a surgical extraction effect with your counter spell. And this list has less sweepers overall. From three, we dropped to one sweeper only. That is Toxic Deluge. Because we already run a lot of spell snares and stern scoldings. So we're planning to attack the energy matchups that way by trying to out-tempo them with spell snares and stern scolding before they can flood the board with Ajani tokens or Raptors. We also moved a couple of Thoughtseize in the sideboard because you do want these against the combo decks. You want another axis of interaction for those. So against show and tell, this deck has three axes of interaction. You have hand hate, you have counter magic, you also have permanent based hate in meddling mage. And for the graveyard centric matchups, we have surgical extraction, ghost vacuum, unlicensors. Ghost vacuum, I'm really just trying out. I think it is essential to diversify this because some matchups you really want to exile a lot of cards in an opponent's graveyard. And in some matchups, you just want this to come online as early as possible. Like against the scam decks, you want this on turn one. On licensors, is usually too late. But the best interaction for reanimate decks is actually surgical extraction. But we do need to diversify since this also hit other blue black tempo shells, shifting woodlands decks, delirium decks, prismatic ending just acting as additional removal spells that can be used as flexible permanent hate. And the main philosophy change in deck building for the tempo deck is basically this. Spell Pierce is essential now, Spell Snare is also essential now. Treasure I like three treasure cruise than two because you really want to see a lot of those 21 lands. 21 lands works for me. Some might say it's a lot, but it's actually not. And it makes you less reliant on brainstorm to find land drops. That way you can maximize the use of brainstorm in the deck. Brainstorm is a card that is best cast when you have the maximum information available to you. Anyway, let's try to play some games with this deck. Right, first match with Esper Tempo. This is a bad hand. We're going first. This is a one lander. It's unkeepable. Yeah, I think this is too many possible dead cards. Plus, it's a one lander. This is a bit better. Going to bottom the treasure cruise for now. And since they're playing Giganta, I suspect that they might be on energy aggro. So we're going to keep that Swords to Plowshares. And we're going to surveil for a threat here. For a counter spell. Okay, that is unexpected. Don't want this. Guess we just swords that. We're just going to pass. Let's brainstorm in response. I'm going to hide the treasure cruise for now. I think it's like this. Let's just towards the Bowmasters here. Can't really play around a second Bowmasters. So I'm just going to, well, I guess not now. Because they could just slam the One Ring next turn. And I feel like they have a Bowmasters here. Alright, they don't. Guess I can take one more damage. The Spell Pierce is kind of bad here. We're just going to ping the Bowmasters here. We know they don't have a Bowmasters because they drew into the foothills. We're not going to attack with one of these. We're just going to Spell Pierce this while we can. Otherwise, they are mostly dead. Maybe I should have blocked with the Bowmasters. Okay. Notably, we don't have Mystic Sanctuary up. I do think we want the second white. Brainstorm is probably not good enough. Okay, that's okay. For let's use 5 so that we can get back Lurus. Now I'm going to brainstorm. I don't think I want Spell Pierce. And I think I'm just casting Nethergoyf at this point. That's a weird sequence from them. Yes, we just get brainstorm now. Okay, I don't want lures yet. I don't think I need the land now. Let's just attack the main skin boo. Get back the swords. And now we have Orcish Bowmasters up just in case they have another one. Jarsil. That's fine. Might be dead here. Just going to attack. If they have, well, I guess we do this then. Okay, we got Blood Moon. I attack with Lurus or just Goif. I think I attack with Lurus. I'm fine with this trade. Don't think I have an out to that. Mexican Boo. Oh, that shadow. Wonder if I have an out here. Okay, that's probably game. Hey, against John, I guess hers is pretty good here. Prismatic ending should be also good. Pierce isn't that great. Bobble isn't that great. Let's see. Maybe scolding is fine. Let's play first. On the play, this is a good hand. Let's just see what they're going to draw. Let's just fetch Fountain. This is one of the downsides of having three colors. With two lands, you're supposed to fetch for the white source. In UB, you could just fetch for island here. Now we just attack. Let's draw. Alright. Land is good here since they might have a blood moon. Okay, that's better. Nice. On the draw. On the draw, let's try more scoldings. Let's try Spell Pierce over a Bowmasters. I'm mostly worried about getting Blood Moon here. This is a pretty good hand. I'm not going to cast Nethergoyf. Yeah, I'll probably just do this instead. Think I'm supposed to Psychic Frog here because this is better against a Blood Moon. Because I'm just going to do this. Don't really have another play. Let's see. Let's exile all creatures. They got soloed by Frog. Let's play first. They don't have any companions. So I'm probably supposed to mulligan this because Spell Snare might miss. Surge to Plowshares might miss. Treasure Cruise is kinda dead. Now this is better since it's proactive. Sometimes it pays off to try and do guesswork on what people are playing. I'm going to lead on the Hollowed Fountain since I plan to brainstorm on end step. Alright, I guess I'm not going to brainstorm an end step because I don't know what to look for. If they gave me more info, I might have used brainstorm proactively. Undercity sewers. Oh, okay. They might be on Rescanimator. I know I don't have a swamp. So I guess the choice here is to look to trade. This is dead. Satoru is pretty bad for me. I didn't play Psychic Frog because I risked them evoking Solitude and then ephemerating it or even just reanimating. Okay, I guess I don't want Spell Pierce. Bowmasters, I'm not sure. I don't think I want this. And then I'm forced to use Swords to Plowshares here so that they don't gain card advantage. Because whenever they discard a card, they seek another card. Just going to pass the turn. It's scary that they have Atraxa in the bin. So my problem now is exactly two reanimates, I guess. Yes, I just attack. Nice. So against this deck, I want Stern Scolding, Unlicensors, Ghost Vacuum, Surgical. I don't think I want Prismatic Ending. Spell Pierce isn't that great. Bauble isn't that great. Bowmasters isn't that great here. I think this is good. I'd keep this since we have Swords to Plowshares plus they are on a scam plan. So mulling down is actually bad for us. Let's just play the archive. If they had Grief Ephemerate, they would have done it turn one. They probably have swords here. Ephemerate. Let's play Nethergoyf. The question is, do I go for Diviner? I guess I just swords this. I don't know what kind of hand they kept. Okay, there's the Diviner. Let's see what they take. I can just discard these two and just Treasure Cruise. I think I kill Grief here. Okay, that's actually sick. Let's discard these two. Do I actually want to swords them? Yeah, I think I want to keep the swords plowshares. That's actually pretty sick. Good value. Nice. We got there. Okay, we lost the die rule. That's huge. Opponent is going first. No companions. One lander. Easy mulligan. Uh-huh. I think this is capable. Just bottom the treasure cruise. We have threats, interaction. Spell snare is especially nice on the draw. Arena of Glory. Guess we just pass. Let's play a bit more passive here. Don't want that. I'm just gonna pass here. Okay, let's spell snare that. We might be punished by a blood moon. Huh. Okay. We already have a frog. I'm just going to take it slow because I'm not really sure what we're up against. Torpor orb is kind of weird. I guess they're going to try to surprise plage me. Dark like shores. Now I don't know what's happening. We save the sanctuary for now. We don't have to make every land drop. Okay, nice Croxa. Oops. Kelly, you get drained. We get our free lures. 3, 5. Now that's enough. Some sort of weird brew here. I'm guessing I want surgical here. Spell snare is nice. Spell pierce. Could maybe go for stern scolding instead. Bowmasters could go for prismatic ending. Let's get ghost vacuum. Not really sure if I want hers yet. This is a bad hand. Tap land. Double blue. I guess this is better in a sense that it's playable. I I think we just might get shafted by whatever they're doing. I think it's better to pass the turn here rather than try to flip Tamio. On instep, I can because I'm trying to look for another land. Not gonna play frog. Am I? No, I'm not. They could probably bolt this, but it's fine. I already have a clue. I'm just really concerned about random blood moons. There's a torpor orb that I'm not sure if I'm even going to counter. Probably not. This is an obvious crux. I think I'm fine with just swords, going swords on this. Well, actually, change my mind. Just going to counter it. That way, next turn I can draw off the clue. Hopefully, find a land. Not a land. I think with Thoughtseize being their top deck, I'm just going to get back mana drain. They should take frog here. Let's just mana drain that. We get a free lures back. If we have a land drop, we can just play lures. But we don't get the land drop, so next turn we're just going to ult Tamio. The swords really solve the problem of push having to deal with random things like this. Yes, we just draw. Looks like they're planning to rope me. Yeah, some players are just like this. So it's better to play Arena on desktop than just watch YouTube videos while opponent is roping you. There's also a function You could report a bug, capture log, then contact support. You can actually report the player for doing this. Spell snare. Use mana drain. Nice. And we are back. I think this build works well and the theory stick. You don't want the basic swamp here, even though we are soft to Blood Moon, because you do lose a lot of percentages in non-Blood Moon matchups because drawing a basic swamp really messes up your mana base. That is like the worst land drop you could make for the first 4 turns. I'm actually thinking about replacing Meddling Mage back to Lavinia. I liked Meddling Mage before because it attacks the show and tell deck in an axis that isn't countered by Veil of Summer. Because if you play Lavinia, they could always just have cast the Veil of Summer, and then what happens is the second part of Lavinia's text, which says counter that spell, gets negated. But also Lavinia is better into the scam decks if you think about it because it counters all elementals if they didn't use mana to cast it. The current record for this particular shell for this season is actually 10-0. I haven't run into a lot of energy decks. If the meta goes back to show and tell and energy, plain blue black is probably better than this one. While Search to Plowshares and the other white cards are good, I don't think it's worth the painful mana base. But in an open meta like this one, this is better since it's more flexible and you basically have answers to every threat you could face. Anyway, that's it for now. Maybe I'll make a video about brainstorm next time. I'll see you in the next one.